Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Classic Rock Reviews Unfiltered!
Mike,
Exclamation point.
Dave,
A little bit
semicolon.
Sorry, it was too quick.
quick in the draw there. All right, I'm Mike.
Mike.
Dave, semicolon.
Dave Semicolon. And we are here with episode 7. And we are going to be talking about the Cars. Very awesome band. I remember these guys in 8th grade when this album, the first album came out. It was so different. So we are so excited you are here with us, and hope you enjoy our podcast. Please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Again, Classic Rock Reviews Unfiltered! Exclamation point with Mike, and Dave.
Hashtag.
Yeah, we're doing a bunch of hashtags.
We added
There's a list of a couple thousand on the website.
You should be able to find us at some point. So for the viewer, we take a rock group, and we pick an album. We each pick an album. It doesn't have to be our favorite, and we talk about it. We talk about experiences and song facts, our top 4 songs on the album, and we just hope you enjoy our conversation with this group.
Because we won't.
So the Cars, they're an American rock band formed in Boston in 1976, and they're emerging from what was called the New Wave scene. Can we talk about New Wave?
Sure, the Ramones.
Yeah.
Blondie. Television.
Sex Pistols.
Richard Howell. Well, Sex Pistols was England.
That was more punk.
Talking Heads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did they fit into that New Wave scene?
Do you think? That's
No,
my
I think
question.
I think
so.
They were different.
I think they were simultaneous, but I don't think that they were part of that scene. I think they kind of got grouped into that kind of New Wave moniker, but I don't think that they fit that bill.
Mm-hmm.
Although none of those groups really sounded like each other anyway. That was kind of a loose connection too between the Ramones and Blondie and Television. I mean, they didn't sound anything like each other either. I think it's just a marketing ploy, right?
Yeah.
New Wave.
And it really encompassed a lot of different genres.
Mm-hmm.
New Wave. Kind of pop. I mean, would you call them pop? Power pop or pop rock?
I think power pop is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop rocks, I call them pop rocks.
Yeah, pop
I
rock.
just don't drink it with soda.
Yeah, I mean, their first 2 albums especially were you would say power pop, like almost in the same kind of like vein as like Cheap Trick possibly, or Big Star, kind of didn't fit the mold of the mainstream necessarily, or what had been the mainstream of hard rock in the 70s, It was kind of a more modern sound. They definitely looked more modern, They had long hair, but they didn't look like as kind of scruffy as
David Lee Roth.
Yeah, or like Led Zeppelin, or groups that just from the late
Molly
60s
Hatchet.
and Molly Hatchet. That's a good. Leonard Skinner. I mean, they didn't have that scruffy kind of look, and they didn't wear like the kind of like 70s, kind of clothes with the open shirts and the jeans, and they had a more like modern kind of look to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clothes that fit them pretty tight, and you know what I mean. Just that.
Yeah, and I think like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers kind of had that kind of. They tried to fit them into that moniker too of New Wave, believe it or not.
Wow.
So that's like how loose that
roll.
moniker is, But they sounded more modern than the groups that had been dominating the 70s, and so it was a new sound,
Yeah.
Definitely the synthesizers took a more prominent role,
Later.
Yeah.
So far as that goes. Well, so let's talk about the members. So the leader, the rhythm guitarist, Rick Ocasek. You had Benjamin Orr on bass guitar. They actually were in a few bands together before they finally made it with the Cars. I mean, they were in a group called Milkwood in the early '70s. This kind of sounded like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Believe it or not. I mean, this sound is completely different than that. But they got together first, and then they brought on Greg Hawkes on keyboards, who happened to be played saxophone in the Martin Mull. I don't know. I actually watched. I mean, you remember Martin Mull, Mary Hartman. Well, he was a musician that had a comedy flair to it. So he had a whole band behind him, and he had Greg Hawkes. 1975. I watched the YouTube video of Greg Hawkes playing the saxophone. Martin Mull. Is it you? It's unfiltered. But Martin Mull would say a lot of jokes. It was actually pretty good. It was like, what was it, 60 Minutes, Killing 60 Minutes or something like that. But it was in 1975. And Martin Mull would just kind of sit there and tell jokes. And then they'd go into some songs. And he was a pretty decent guitarist, acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a whole background of musicians and stuff like that. But it was kind of cool. And then David Robinson was their drummer. And then Elliot Easton was their lead guitarist, a southpaw, a lefty. He looks really cool. I see any guitarist who plays left-handed to me is just automatically cool, no matter what. Just that it's different,
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the Cars. And Ocasek was the band's principal songwriter. And I guess he would be considered the leader of the band. He was older than most of the other guys, and he was born in '44. I think I was talking to Mike a couple of weeks ago, and that he was like 2 months younger than Jimmy Page. So he was 40 when Heartbeat City came out.
Wow.
But he always looked old to me. I don't know why. He looks different,
Mm-hmm.
right? He doesn't look like your
He's
typical.
not a handsome man.
Well, but he got the most beautiful women in the world.
Yeah, well,
right.
The two aren't necessarily related.
I know, but then you had Benjamin Orr, who was like supposedly the good-looking one in the band, and yet who was on, beautiful women were all on Rick Ocasek's arm.
That's what happens when you suck your thumb in public.
So let's talk about what albums we're doing. Dave, what album are you doing?
Candy-O.
Mike?
Shake It Up.
And I will be doing Heartbeat City, their '84 album. They only had 7 studio albums. They had the one that came out in '78, which is the Cars, self-titled, and that had like 7 hits on the radio out of 10 songs. I mean, they played constantly. They had Candy-O, which you're doing, that came out in '79, and then they took a left turn experimentally in '80 and did Panorama. Didn't do as well as the first 2 albums, but that doesn't really surprise me because those albums did so well. And then Shake It Up that Mike has in '81. I have the 1984 Heartbeat City. And then they did Door to Door in '87, and things were kind of going south for the band as far as tensions and everything like that. And then they broke up, and then they got back together in 2011 with the album Move Like This, which was without Benjamin Orr. He had died in 2000 of pancreatic cancer, which was very unfortunate. He was a great bass player, good singer. I mean,
Great singer.
and we're going to talk about how he split the vocals pretty much. I'm not going to say it was right down the middle, but I would say it was almost close to 50-50 between him and Ocasek, and their voices sound pretty similar.
Very similar.
Well, they complement each other very
Yeah,
well.
and they're very similar. And I'm going to do a little bit of a test to you guys a little bit later.
Cool.
Which song is Ocasek versus which song is the lead singer, Benjamin Orr.
Yeah.
They had 4 top 10 hits. They had Shake It Up in '81, You Might Think in '84, Drive in '84, and Tonight She Comes in '85. So they didn't really have any top 10 hits from '78 or '79's albums, which is incredibly surprising to me. I still don't understand. Maybe they just weren't big at the time, and I think one of the things
They weren't mainstream 100%. I mean, they came along later, like when the Talking Heads started going out, the people started seeing the the things that musicians wanted to do, and and, and the Talking Heads made it popular. And I think that, you know, he had a style. It's almost like he almost always he used a lot of rhythm that, uh, let's put it there, a subset of rhythms in many of his songs, and yet, you know, they still are compelling. And even though you can tell, like, oh, this song, you think this it's going to be this song, and then it diverges
Mhm.
because you know, he was. I guess he was always doing a work in progress. And
Yeah. They met in Cleveland, Ohio, Rick and Ben, and then they eventually got out to Boston, and there was a DJ in Boston. Um, Maxine. Her name was Maxine Sartori, and she was a DJ out there, and she kept playing their songs, and it was a demo.
Hmm.
What they didn't have, I don't know if they didn't have a label at that point, but I guess what would happen is when you looked at the Billboard Top 40, now they were down a ways, but I guess you'd see like Elton John, and you'd see the name of the song, and then you'd see Elektra or whatever the label was, and then Aerosmith, album, label, and then you'd see The Drive, and I'm trying to remember which song it was. I think it was Just What I Needed. So you'd see Cars, Just What I Needed, demo tape. That's what it said on there.
That's awesome.
And that is cool that she was able. They constantly credited her with giving them the exposure that they needed, because they didn't, for whatever reason, they just weren't getting exposed. So she
And was
kept
that on
playing.
national Billboard
I don't
charts,
know if it was
or
a
if it was
national.
just like Boston?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
That's really cool.
Demo tape, but I guess that's why maybe they didn't have any hits, because they just weren't being played until much later.
Yeah. Iron Maiden had that same thing, if I'm not mistaken. They made a demo tape, or a self-produced tape that they would sell at their shows, and it made it onto the British charts before they even signed with EMI.
Mhm.
And that's how they got known, was just from word of mouth and distributing these tapes at their shows, and then that's how they got popular. And
Yeah.
it was actually made the charts, just like what you were saying. That's so cool.
So I don't know if it happened after they made the album, but I don't think it would be, because then
No.
why put demo there?
No.
So these songs had to have been done in like 77, maybe,
Mhm.
or early 78. This came out in June. The debut album came out in June of 78. So I'm assuming that,
Mhm.
and I never have seen it where they actually show a photo of it and what time of year it was. I mean, I'm thinking it was 77
Yeah.
sometime.
That's cool.
Yeah. So their debut album sold 6 million copies and appeared on the Billboard 200 album chart for 139 weeks. So,
Not bad.
2+ years, right? So let's. Who wants to go first? Mike's keeping his mouth shut.
I'll go first, and that's, we're
Again.
gonna. I mean, third.
No, you can go first. You'll go first. Mike, go second. I'll go last.
Well, no one was speaking up. No. So I had Candio. It was one of the first albums I bought, and it was probably in 8th grade or freshman year in high school, and it just, there was something I liked about the way that, I've always liked that kind of distorted synth kind of sound, and he just, yeah, and
That didn't hurt either.
this didn't hurt either.
She's so dramatic.
Yes,
Because that's what I look at. I just look at the hand and the hair, and that's it. I don't look at anything
I
else.
think the sketch of the car is just amazing.
Yeah, the wheel locks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Vargas signature. What?
Yeah.
Oops.
He was
Just
a
broke
famous
it.
artist. Vargas was. Yeah.
No, but it was my first exposure, and I started out with like a little 45 record and heard one of the songs, and I wanted to explore it more, and Candio was out. So my number 4 song from Candio is I believe going to be
Bated breath.
If Honey.
Got a lot on my head.
Hey,
Oh, that's a good song.
It doesn't even have a number on here.
number 10. That's a deep cut. It's nice.
This is my favorite one of their albums, too. I
And
was going to pick Candy O, and then you beat me to it. And I was like,
I was going to pick you beat me to it.
Yeah, this sounds.
This is
punk.
more punkish, but it's also got like a.
it has like that, like a lot of their songs, like sort of that fake British accent.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a little bit of like the Clash to them too. It's like they don't care 100% that their voices are perfect. They just want to like belt out the music and.
Yeah, this is more punkish,
This is, yeah.
right? From their like up until like even their first album, I can't really pinpoint any real punk.
Yeah. How many, given the history of the Cars, how many bands or artists can you say can have traversed so many different kinds of music and succeeded and, across decades and I mean, like one of my favorite songs is Drive, and it's sappy and it's all that, but it just has this heart to it. It's like
It's like a perfect song. Drive.
Perfect ballad.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
We'll
like a
talk
perfect
about
pop
that.
song. Yeah.
We will talk.
I love
about
that song. That's amazing. I can listen to that over and over
I
again.
can too.
Cool. Well, that's your number 4.
And then my number 3 song is going to be The Girl I First Fell in Love With. Oops. That's
That it?
Candy O.
Candy O.
Ah, this is a great.
And it had nothing to do with the cover of the album.
I love this.
I was driving last weekend. I was driving to my cousin's wedding with my wife and my cousin Kelly, and I was listening to the Cars because I was getting ready for this podcast, and I had the car kind of low in the background, and then Candy O came on, and I go, "You guys, I have to turn this way up. I'm sorry. There's not going to be talking for the next 3 minutes." And I like just cranked it. Candy O is like to me is like their best song.
There are some songs where I like hear it and it's like, oh, thank God. I mean, this is like a song that's just like the core of when I started loving music and like just really enjoy it. So
Wait. Oh. Love that. The thing about Elliot Easton, people always said, "Oh, you're such an underrated guitarist." He goes, "I think I'm rated." I don't know why I'm underrated. I don't know why people say
He's
that.
a great guitarist.
He feels very comfortable in his skin. He's not worried about, because you don't really put him in the top 100 greatest guitarists, right?
it's a little bit like Don
Should know.
Feldman.
He's just
I think
Felder.
A little bit like Don Feldman, who like
Felder.
Felder. Sorry, I mean, how do I keep turning this on? And technology. But I did,
Yeah, you're right. Don Felder is.
he
a lot of people
composed
don't
Hotel
really know
California, right?
Either. Yeah.
And I mean, that is to me another musical masterpiece in my mind. Just the way it's put together, and so you get good stuff from like Cross when people get along, and then when they don't, then you're minus one band in the world. All right, and since let's see, so the last one and my number.
Your second, right? We're going
Second.
Oh,
My second.
we did it. Got a lot of my head. Candy O. So it should be number 2 now, right?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh, I'm
This is great.
very intrigued to see
I
what
know.
your number 1 is.
Love this. That is such Cars. Right? Is that the
synthesizer?
synthesizer?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about before we started filming. I was talking about that combination of the guitar and the synthesizer was so unique at that time. You know, it added so much. I don't think that they would have been nearly as popular without that synthesizers
It's almost like different.
coloring that they had on their songs. You know,
It's almost
if
like
that
they
was
had-
only like the guitar riff going boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom, 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 it wouldn't have that same kind of
Yeah.
impact.
Bounce.
But it was
Yeah.
kind of like separate sections in an orchestra. They each added like a portion to it that
Mm-hmm.
was critical, and I think he was a genius in putting those
Mhm.
things together,
Right.
because none of them are super complex, but they weave together and draw feelings.
Yeah. And that, you know, they're super tight also as a band. They are just they're compact. The songs are compact. They're all
There,
3.5 minute pop songs for the most part, and they all have that punch, and they're all just they were all great musicians, and
Mhm.
they just
You
had a
can't go
tightness
wrong.
to their sound, you know. It's just I don't know how else to describe it. Just a great
Great
band.
And it's so different from the bands that they were in before. It's not like
Yeah.
they brought.
There was no band like them before.
No, but I mean, just even the bands that they were in, and they were in very I think David Robinson, the drummer, was probably the most prestigious band, the Modern Lovers, but the sound of all the bands prior to that is not this at all.
Mhm.
It's like they
No.
just all came. It's like we got something different, and it's
Right.
They
I
were
would have
more.
expected
They were
it.
more Chuck Berry derived kind of.
Well, there's some 50s nostalgia on some of their songs. You can kind of hear the
Well, I
Not
meant,
rockabilly, but-
the kind of the rest of the whole rock scene was like, get up there, play, your
Riff.
opening, your riff, your chorus, and then your
Yeah,
Change
they
key.
all that blend of those 5 people made the car. I mean, Rick Ocasek wrote all the songs, and is definitely the leader of the band. But I don't think that they would have been what they were without those 5 individual members coming together. And
Yeah.
that blend is what made them.
Yeah,
what
I
they
mean,
were,
because Rick
you know.
would have had to fight for all his ideas, and the other people wouldn't have been able to contribute, and they were. You get stalemates in a lot of bands, and this one didn't really seem to have a stalemate,
That's a leader.
right.
except for later.
Right.
That's where this synthesizer. It's not in your face, right? Like it became with maybe some of the British bands, new wave band, the second British invasion, if you will, the new wave synth. Because some of those can be really dated, but this is not dated.
Right.
It's
Not
just-
at all.
and you might say, well, I can pinpoint the date, but you know what I mean. It's not dated. Like oh, I don't want to necessarily hear that 50 years later, 45 years
Right.
later.
And I don't know really how to say it, but it's like the distortion in it. There's something about that slight bit of distortion in it that really just locks me in. And the same thing happens with guitar, on certain guitar riffs where, you're playing it through a pedal and you get this individual sound that just nails what you're trying to do. And so I love the synthesizer and all the things that it can do.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to pull out a nap and well,
You start your own podcast.
Yeah.
well, this is good timing because at the end of this song, now my number 1 song
Should we do?
Let's Go.
No, you just did.
Just
Let's
play
Go.
Let's
Wait,
Go.
no, because who did I? If it's all I can do. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
That's all I can do is your number 1
Uh-huh.
song. All right.
I like the beginning.
This is a great intro. Yeah.
I like that it's not their. I like that it's not their normal rhythm. It has an offbeat or.
Yeah, I do like that beat though. It's the offbeat. It's a great song. I thought you were going to do Shooby Doo, and I was like, okay, okay, Scooby Doo.
Right. Hey, no, there's no fight
That's a
going
good
on
song,
here.
though. I mean, how it goes into Candy-O, I think is so cool.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
it's like it's kind of like the intro to Candy-O. Shooby-Doo is, yeah.
No dangerous type.
The
huh?
part that I like is this upcoming.
This whole
part.
album is awesome. When I was picking my top 4 from Candy-O this morning, it was really hard. I mean, I knew I was going to have Let's Go and Candy-O in there, but the other 2 songs, it's like, oh god, this is so hard because I love this entire album. You know,
But he's not doing
Look at my
anything.
picks.
He's not doing anything complex. You know, it's just like do 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 do.
No, I know.
But it just like
I had your final 3. The only one I had Dangerous Type, number 4.
all right, I'll get you your cookie later.
I have my top 4 from Candy-O are Since I Held You is number 4, number 3 Dangerous Type, number 2 Let's Go, number 1 Candy-O. And what were your top 4 again? Candy-O, Let's Go.
Hey.
What was your 4th one?
It was the
Since
it was
since
you got a lot on my head.
I got a lot in my head,
Okay.
yeah. And then
Got it.
I gotta write that down. God.
it's all I can do.
We should start. That was pretty impressive, like vocal harmony there.
I think vocal wise, I think we pull it off. I mean, I can play the bongo.
Bang on your drum all day.
And in seventh grade,
Hey now.
I played the flute, and not
Hello.
the kind that most people are thinking of for a 7th grader.
Sure, I think we all learned how to play the flute in 7th grade. 6th grade, 7th grade, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
I was in a Catholic school. And we didn't play musical instruments in school.
the nuns did.
They had rulers, and they hit you with them. No, they did. By the time I was there,
They was
weren't
fading
hitting
out,
people,
yeah.
They was hitting out.
Yeah, they were
They
hitting.
hit my brothers.
They were
You
hitting.
could have used some hitting, I think.
Yeah.
Straighten you out a little bit.
They hit people with 10,000 word essays, though.
Well, that's awesome. That's a great, like Candy. I mean, that's such an incredible album. You really can't go wrong.
And you never want to put it back in the bookshelf,
What's that?
Candy-O.
Oh,
As long as it's on the right side.
we just display it
Yeah.
prominently. Why don't you frame that one? Maybe I'll give that one for you for Christmas.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like Candy-O framed.
That would be a
I
good
would love
one.
that. We should make it replace the Soundgarden one in there with
Yeah.
Candy-O.
Yeah,
You know,
that'd be
maybe
great.
enhance some of the drawing on there with,
Yeah.
and to
Sure.
make sure that certain points are more
Well
visible
taken.
than others.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was awesome. Great album, Candy-O. And Mike, we're gonna do your
Yeah.
album next.
Hello.
Okay, Mike. So your album
All
is
right.
next.
My album is next, and I have Shake It Up. And I like to pick albums that are not necessarily my favorite albums because it helps me, kind of forces me to like go deep on albums that I haven't heard like a million times, right?
Go on there. It's too easy. That was
Right?
set up in a T.
Like I would have picked Candy-O because that's my favorite one, but I'm kind of glad that you picked it before me because then it forced me to like listen to Shake It Up like a bunch more times than I ever have. And like picking their first album is too easy because that's just, I heard somebody say one time that the Cars' first album might as well be called the Cars' Greatest Hits, because like almost all of their most famous songs are all on that first album. But let's see. I picked Shake It Up, and that was released November 6, 1981. Went double platinum. It was the last album produced by their original producer, Roy Thomas Baker. It was a return to a pop-oriented sound after the experimental nature of their predecessor, Panorama. The title track, Shake It Up, was released as a single on November 9th, 1981, and became their first top 10 single. It reached number 4 on Billboard. David Robinson had said that the song that they had been trying to had been kicking around for years is what he said, but they just never sounded right, and they gave it one more shot, and they sort of like treated the song as like kind of stripped it down totally and just went at it from a whole different direction and basically changed every part of it. And
then the civil defense siren went on, and that's what led to its fame.
Exactly. And then it became like a brand new song, and that became their first huge radio hit. I mean, they had
But isn't that funny though?
a million great songs on
Right.
the first two albums, but this was their first bona fide top 10 single.
The world doesn't like change until they do.
Yeah.
Other singles from this album, Since You're Gone, was released as a single on March 8th, 1982, and that reached number 41 on the Hot 100.
Love that song.
That's a good song, yeah. Victim of Love was released June 82 and did not chart. Think It Over was released as a single in Britain in August of 82, but did not chart. Let's see. Just a little background on the Cars for me.
Hey, get your album.
I got it. Yep. So I have all their studio albums. What's the last one called? Move Like This. I don't have that record. I bought it on iTunes when it first came out, though.
Candy-O again, then.
Yes. Here's Candy-O. Gratuitous shot of the famous.
Yeah, I like the headlights. We'll leave it at that.
You would.
Wouldn't you?
I would. I do. This is Shake It Up. Another pretty girl on the cover.
Hey.
Let's see what else we got. I have Heartbeat City,
Maybe one.
which is a cool cover.
Oh yeah, pin up.
Yeah. And their first album. And
They're all pin-ups.
Panorama.
Except for that one.
And I even have Door to Door. So, just a little background on my introduction to the Cars. So, these guys heard their first album, or Candy-O, when they were, in high school or 8th grade. I didn't. That was about the time that I heard them as well, but I'm a little bit younger than them. And I heard like Shake It Up. I think the video for Shake It Up and the video for Since You're Gone in 81, 82, right? That was when I first became aware of the Cars through MTV. And right around that same time, I was at my cousin Matt's house in Norwich. So this is about 81, 82. And we were at one of his friends' houses, and they were playing the Cars' first album on the turntable. And I'd never heard that. The only Cars music that I knew was just Shake It Up and Since You're Gone, right? And it was like one of those albums that I like just heard it the first time and just like totally blew me away. I was just like, this is amazing. I just never heard anything like it before. And ever since then, I've been a huge fan. Eventually, I bought the first album in Candy-O within probably a year or two of hearing that album. And eventually, I got into their non-singles, like the deep tracks from the albums, and most of those deep tracks are some of my favorite songs, from Heartbeat City, Panorama, Door to Door, even. I just really grew to appreciate like all their albums and all their songs, and not just their, You Might Think or Magic or Drive or whatever. They just, all their songs are great for them, 99% of them at least. And it's just, I think I think you can say that they're kind of underrated in a way, even though they had a lot of commercial success. And I don't think if you talk about music now and you ask, somebody who was your top 10 groups or whatever, I don't think the Cars come up
Right.
that often. You know,
Mhm.
they had such a great run and just a great legacy that they left behind. And it's
They'd be close to me. He'd be close in mine. I mean, not number 5, but certainly.
So my number 4 song, I have to check the title real quick because it doesn't look right to me.
Because we're getting old.
This is unfiltered.
It's making it up as it goes along.
So my number 4 song is "This Could Be Love," and this song was written one of the very rare songs that was written by Rick Ocasek and Greg Hawkes. Okay. Like almost all their songs were just solely written by Rick Ocasek, but this one was written.
Who plays the bass?
Benjamin Orr. And Ben Orr sings this song too.
I was annoying EJ by calling it bass all one day.
All right, let's listen to his voice. I mean, they have very similar voices.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
It's a good album. I mean, when I was trying to pick my top 4, I had a hard time. I had to keep going back and forth between songs because there was, a lot of different songs that I'm running, to make the top 4. It's just a really good record. All right, so my number 3 is "I'm Not the One."
I'm not the one.
And this one, interestingly enough, I don't remember this, but this was released as a single from their Greatest Hits album that came out in January of '86.
Didn't appear on other albums.
This was on Shake It Up, but it wasn't released as a single, but they remixed it for the Greatest Hits album in their '85 Greatest Hits album. And this was released on January 13th, 1986 as a single, and it actually reached number 32 on Hot 100 when it was released as a single 5 years after it was first put out, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's got that.
It's almost got like a Brian Ferry kind of like vibe.
Right here.
I love that. I don't know if that's the synth or the keyboards.
Yeah, probably. It sounds like it, yeah.
I do like that guitar sound. It's almost like, I'm not going to say it's like George Harrison, but it's got that, not wah-wah pedal, but it's that, oops, sorry about that. Oh, we get to hear it again.
It's unfiltered.
But, what's that part here? I don't know, it sounds different. His guitar sounds different than the first 2 albums, or 3 albums. I'm not going to say George Harrison, but I'm trying to figure out that style.
Right here, like the slide.
Oh, not there. Yeah, a little slide.
Yeah, that could be a number of synthesizers.
Right here.
Uh-huh.
He does.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Right
Yeah,
there.
sure, I can hear that. Yeah. All right, so my number 2 is "Shake It Up."
Oh yeah, good beginning. Good shit. Pop rock, right? Very commercial songs, but you just want to, yeah, it's just a dance to it,
Why don't you get up?
Yeah.
There you
Are we gonna have to edit this?
Now I see why Kim fell in love with you.
Thank you. You're getting a little
I'm getting a little emotional listening to this song.
verklempt.
Yeah, I'm a little verklempt. Cut it off, cut it off.
There she is, shaking it up.
I think you're being pejorative. Get real low. Get real hot.
I like the background vocals on this song.
Yeah, they all sing. They all
Yeah.
sing background vocals.
And this is another example of Elliot Easton's great guitar playing.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love the sound of this.
He's like I don't know, maybe he doesn't get the recognition because his solos are they're part of the song.
Or it should be
You know
doing
what
it
I
this
mean?
way. It's a lefty.
They're very economical, you know, in the solos, and they all fit as part of the song, and they're not kind of.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that kind of like
Yeah, trying to do
stretched out kind of things like Jimi Hendrix or
Yeah,
Jimmy Page or somebody like
Pete
that.
Townsend,
you know?
where things are weaving
Mhm.
between.
Right. It's just like it fits in the song. It's like, okay, you know, we got the chorus and then we got the bridge and now, okay, now the solo and now we go back to the. I mean, it's just a real pop structure, you know. My number one song, I don't know if you can guess.
I'm sorry, we don't have it.
I gotta look for it because I know I'm not gonna get it. It's probably their first song on their album. That's my guess.
Mhm.
I could be wrong.
It is
And it would be
Since You're Gone.
listen to this beginning.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like tap shoes.
Sticks, or it could be tap shoes. Just so clappers.
Yeah, maybe.
I would say here he is more than other songs, mixing different kind of themes amongst each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You're
just
whispering.
like, you know,
Sweet
we got like
nothings to him, and we're on.
since we've
We're
got
whispering.
Yeah, he's.
what grade was he in?
Oops. I like
All right.
this one too. Dream
Yeah.
Away.
That's a good song. Yeah, the whole album is good. And like I said, I had a hard time picking just 4 songs from this album.
Great
I think
album.
there's, there's also something about the, I don't, it's not a slide, but it's, even with the synthesizer, like an Animu, like has this thing where you slide up and down and
Oh yeah,
and that's what it sounds like. It's and it adds this
yeah,
it adds this element of mood to the.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's Shake It Up. Great album. Go to your local record store and pick it up.
And our cars are parked at.
I told you, there's a guy that's selling albums like down the street. I got it. It was out there again today, but I was running errands and I saw it, but I just didn't think of going over there and seeing
Can't
what
you
the
just
album
Yeah,
run
check it
into
out.
him with a bicycle?
Is it just on the weekends?
Seems like it's just the weekends, yeah. So, yeah, it's a great album. Okay,
That was fun.
that was fun. Are you ready to leave?
Yeah. All right.
But-
So that's it. So next week.
You guys are so
Let's
funny.
cut the period in half again. We'll meet in 3.5 days.
Yeah, we did. This is our quickest turnaround. 1 week going from
Yeah.
REM to the
and
We have such momentum.
And we have a
Yeah.
reputation for being quick.
Yes, we do.
absolutely.
We do. As we get older.
We have 28 subscribers,
Yes.
so we need way more than that.
The next subscriber gets all the beer tabs from this session.
Yes, that's true. If you turn in like 10 box tops, you get a free poster
But they
of
have
us. No, seriously, like subscribe. And like Mike said last week, hitting subscribe doesn't mean anything. You don't pay anything. All it means is that our videos, then you get notified when we have a new video. That's all.
That, and we sell your information to the highest bidder.
You sound like my dad.
So,
Except I'm in that business, and it's not so untrue.
all right, Mike,
Well, we
what do you got?
Why don't we go talk about our hashtags? Or did you already do that? Did we
No,
talk
I
about
didn't.
our hashtags?
Mhm.
Talk about our hashtags.
Why?
Hashtag
So
why?
people will look us up. Never mind.
Hashtag
We just put
don't
all these
look us up.
hashtags. It
Never
was
mind.
suggested to us that if we put hashtags in our description,
And now
Our-
we
then our-
we have to go take care of these people.
that our videos would come up more in the feed, right? So we did a hashtag classic rock, hashtag album reviews, hashtag cars, hashtag Looney Blues, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just trying to get more views. We're having a great time doing this, and we just want to share like our fun that we're experiencing with more people. So that's all.
So yeah, I mean, we were all born in Cicero, so I mean, our wives.
All right, cut him off.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think you need to drink a bush
Maybe
beer.
it's time for a nap, maybe, Dave.
Anyway,
Well,
that's a great
kind of a
segue.
puzzle.
We're going to segue into my album, the 84 album, Heartbeat
I
City.
forgot the
Yeah.
third
Yeah,
This was called their comeback album. Their comeback album.
I read that.
Which, how can that be?
I
I
know.
mean, it was 3 years. But Shake It Up was awesome. And only 3 years happened between. It's not like they...
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. From because Shake It Up was double platinum, right? Heartbeat City was quadruple. So I don't know if that that's double. That's double the sales. So I suppose that's a big comeback. But Shake It Up was a very commercial album. So I don't understand how Heartbeat City can be considered a comeback from what.
Right, from a terrible album.
Maybe it's just because they haven't done any albums in
2 years, 3 years.
3 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
Not because journalists are liars.
yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, it's an awesome album. It's their 5th studio album. It was released on March 13th, 1984. I was a sophomore. Yeah, I was a sophomore. It marks the band's first album that was not produced by the longtime producer Roy Thomas Baker. They opted to go and have Robert Mutt Lange produce this album, and he's done a lot. Robert Mutt Lange has done AC/DC, Def Leppard, a myriad of great
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain. Yes, you had to mention that.
Favorite.
Yes, favorite good-looking country singer. But anyway, but the thing about Mutt Lange was, they with Roy Thomas Baker, they did the Cars debut album in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think recorded it, mixed it, did everything. With Mutt Lange, it took like forever and a day. I guess he's a taskmaster. And like, I don't know if this was a tongue in cheek, but in the liner notes, they said that Mutt Lange would like spend like 2 days on Benjamin Orr's bass to make sure it had the right sound to it. So he was one of those guys that was a perfectionist, which they weren't used to. But it was a successful album. The sound was amazing. It spawned 6 singles. 6. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Drive and You Might Think actually reached the top 10 of the Billboard 100 that year, peaking at number 3 and 7, respectively. Ocasic. I don't know if it's Ocasic. I think it's Ocasic, technically.
I've always said okay-6, so I'm just going to
You're going to continue to do that?
I'm okay
I'm
with
stubborn
either.
that way with my pronunciations.
I'm okay with either, or okay with either.
He joked that the band broke up like 4 times while making the album. A lot of resentment that was starting to creep in at this point just because they had been so successful. And as you get successful, right, like we will be on our podcast in 4 years, there's bound to be resentment
Right.
that's going to creep
Right.
into our
We're all going to take
podcast.
credit.
Yes.
I'm the one who's makes it
Exactly.
successful, right?
Right, and we're going to be breaking up.
Right.
So make sure you subscribe before we do that. So,
And mark my words, since I was the last one enlisted in this effort, I might just disappear one day, and it wasn't my idea.
it's okay. We won't. They performed at Live Aid, and they performed 3 of the songs. You might think "Drive" and the title track, "Heartbeat City," alongside "Just What I Needed." They did the fan favorite one. It was one of their most successful albums. And so I am going to go through my top 4. My 4th favorite song on this album is "It's Not the Night."
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
This is a great album. Like you, I had a hard time. I went back and forth on a lot of songs. I really did. I got a couple honorable mentions as well. But this is "It's Not the Night." But the Greg Hawkes, man, he is a whirling dervish on synth.
It's a secret weapon of the band. I think, just added so much to every song. His keyboard parts.
This album, actually, what they're using, and I'm going to throw in a different instrument. They're using what's called a Fairlight CMI, and what that is imagine a keyboard and a computer, like just a computer monitor, and they program not only the actual song, or not song, but the sound of like the key, the keystrokes on the synth. But you can do like dog sounds, you can do broken glass, you can do virtually anything, and they just pre-program it into the CMI and then have it spit it out and mix it with the sound. And actually, one of the first artists that bought the Fairlight CMI in 1980 was actually Peter Gabriel in England. He was number 1, and one of the guys from Bad Company was number 2. But Peter Gabriel used it on his 3rd album, Melt, and you can hear it. Just all the sounds that he pre-programmed on the song. I'm sure we're going to be doing Peter Gabriel down the road. But the Fairlight CMI got really used. It was very innovative in 1980. Kate Bush used it later on, but they used it on this album.
Is this chord?
What's that?
You said KMI or CMI?
CMI. CMI. I'm not sure what that's. I'm not sure what that stands for. But they use it on a lot of the songs on this album. So that's my number 4. Let's see where I'm at here. 5 minutes. Okay, now my number 3 is Magic. So I did go with Magic on number 3.
That is not one of my favorite songs from this album.
Okay. Well, this is my album. So you can talk about your album. I didn't say, oh, really?
Okay.
Really? That's your number 4?
Can someone call me
Mr. Deep Cuts?
Can someone call me an Uber?
This is the worst video, I have to say, even though he's like walking on water in a pool, and there's all these people like gathered around the fringes of the pool, and he's just singing. He's walking, right? He's walking on probably some sort of platform, right? But it's
and they're all like,
yeah, they're trying to reach him. I guess like he's Jesus, like he's walking on water.
Yeah.
Jesus was better looking, okay, than Rick Ocasek.
Thank you.
Rick got the babes.
Jesus had those beautiful blue eyes.
He did, and he had a good suntan, as far as I'm concerned. He was a carpenter
And great hair.
for crying.
Yes. Strong hands.
He knew what a pound.
I just like it. I like the synthesizer on it. Again, it's the CMI working. Different sounds. Tonight.
Actually, this song's not bad. I think you're right. I think the video is like what makes
Lame.
it is lame, and it makes you like think about this. The video, you kind of combine it with the song. You're like, oh, the video is so lame, but the song's actually a good song.
Back
Gotta
then,
stop
weren't
looking at the
most of those videos lame? I mean,
A lot of them were, yeah.
Yeah, but
My blood runs cold.
when you're watching it as an 18-year-old, are you saying maybe you're
No,
saying
it was
it's
so
lame.
it was
Or it's
so
so
novel.
new.
It was so novel that yes, it caught our attention, and of course they know how to fill in a female costume.
It peaked at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100. Okay, so that's my number 3. My number 2. Anybody have any guesses?
Heartbeat City.
Drive.
You might think.
Drive is
Great video, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good video. Yeah.
But you don't like the song, yeah.
It's okay. You know what? Like a lot of songs, when you've heard a song like a billion times,
This one
you kind of
was
like
played a lot.
you think maybe less of the song, you know, after because you know you don't consider it as fresh or as it is. Or
The
was.
Loop used to play this all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watch the video, though. It's very innovative, very cool. He's basically a stalker. He's stalking the girl, and it's just so funny. So check it out. If you have
Stalking is
iTunes,
funny.
stalking is awesome
We
in
learned
this video.
we learned a lot.
Techniques.
Techniques, strategies.
I mean, after we got our ninja black belts,
Okay, well, that's my number 2, and of course, number 1.
dun, 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 dun.
I always sing this song in
This
the
is
car.
giving me goosebumps.
In the
sometimes
cars
when
that
hear
I
it.
drive. I think it's a lame video.
So yeah.
He's just sitting in a chair, and he is in a bar. I think we were disputing where they were, but I think he's in a bar. There's like a pool table. There's a bar with it's like shot glasses are turned.
Well, in the Hello Again, they were sitting in a bar too.
Okay.
All the members, not just him.
Yeah.
Well, how does it compare to the Rolling Stones and Waiting on a Friend?
Oh, I love that video.
But that's cool. They're
That's
all
a great
walking
video.
by, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
there's
love
something
that song
like
in the video.
plus we used to when we were kids. Everybody from our neighborhood would sit on our porch. Literally, they'd come walking by. Seriously, like all our neighbors would come and sit
People
on the
are
porch.
hanging from the gutters.
I mean, that we weren't as cool as they looked, but no, like our house was the place where everybody would come and hang out on the porch.
So whose choice is it next?
So, the one thing about Heartbeat City, it was that song "Drive" that we were talking about. My number 1, Timothy Hutton directed it. The guy from Ordinary People, the actor. I guess he was. How does that happen? I tried to look at how they met, but I guess the Cars were trying to find new people that were looking to direct.
Yeah,
And
but where does he get musical chops from?
I don't know if it requires musical chops. I mean, it's just
To direct?
right.
I
You just
mean,
no, but you're just directing. I don't think you have to have musical knowledge necessarily.
well, sure, you certainly don't have to ever watch the film to direct the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, I'm just saying. I don't know. It actually was a very. To me, it's not my favorite video, but apparently they had called on him to.
But isn't that
direct
Paulina
it.
Poracova in that video?
Yeah.
And that's how they
Yeah,
met.
that's how they met. I think. Yeah. And then "Hello Again" was actually directed by Andy Warhol, who also appeared on the video
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
a fun video. And Gina, what's her name?
Yeah, Gersh.
Patreon.
Gina Gershon is in that video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my honorable mentions, Stranger Eyes, Hello Again, Heartbeat City were my 3. And it's a great album. It was hard. I had a hard time with those, but I probably picked more of the mainstream songs, but still.
My top 4 was "It's Not the Night" was number 4. Number
It's not the night.
3 was "Drive."
Who's gonna drive you home?
My number 2 was "Heartbeat City."
Dun.
Jackie, it took you so long.
You love that word, Jackie. It's in a lot of songs, Jackie.
I love that song. That's a great song. Heartbeat City. So they played that at Live Aid.
Yeah,
The song Heartbeat City.
I think
That's
it
cool.
was, yeah.
And then my number 1 was "Hello Again," which is a great video. And Andy Warhol's in it, and it's just a funny video.
Hello, It reminds me
It's
of
good.
Def Leppard or like
Yeah.
that beginning.
Yeah.
That beginning is
That,
totally.
that sounded
I
like
think
Def
it's
Leppard. Yeah.
Mutt Lang had something to do with that part.
Oh, yeah.
I'm convinced.
He definitely had a style of vocals, processing background vocals. I'm sorry.
No, I am too, because I'm like,
Are you past your bedtime here?
No, well, no, but I am today for some
Well,
reason.
you've got another 20, 30 minutes, so strap
What
it
are you
in.
talking about?
Right.
20
Strap it on, and
Because
It is already.
we're starting
What
our
are you
next
talking about?
podcast in about 18 minutes and counting. So better get ready. Drink a Coke or something.
You better have a lot of toilet paper. That's all I gotta say.
Well, in April 18, the Cars were inducted. Of course, very awesome. They awesomely deserve it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I guess.
And they played 4 songs. Just What I Needed. You might think My Best Friend's Girl and Moving in Stereo, which great song, Moving in Stereo.
Cool.
It was a nice touch and tribute to because some of those songs or had sung on. And then we were talking about the supermodel that Rick Ocasek, tomato, met on the Drive video. They separated, unfortunately, 1 month after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then Rick passed away less than a year later of cardiovascular. Yeah.
Right, and they had that whole drama with he cut her out of his will, and she had to fight for her share because she made a really good point. Because I was really interested in that. One, because I really like Cars, and two, because she's super hot. But a lot of that money that they shared was her money from modeling. And so that alone,
I would have thought they would have had a prenup
out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see something like that.
Why would you want to
Split
like two
apart
separate?
couple.
Yeah, because they're a power couple, right?
Right, but in two different environments, there's no way you can determine equality.
Right.
Well, I read recently that there was a settlement in which she got a third of the estate, as she should have. So, I guess according to New York law, that's just how it goes. But she had to fight a couple of years for that, though.
You read that
That's
a lot?
really
New York
unfortunate.
Law Journal.
I do. I'm a big fan. That's unfortunate. They seemed very close at the ceremony.
She was, because they would pan to her in the audience, and she was.
They kept
really,
showing her,
and
she was like really
genuine.
It seemed like it, yeah.
To me,
yeah.
I'm gonna be available soon.
Yeah. Okay, so come on back here, Mister.
I can't. I've been sitting down all day.
All right. I guess you can stand up here. You're not in the camera. That's okay.
All right. Are we going to do this quiz?
We are going to do a Orr versus Ocasek. Who sang the song? Was it Rick Ocasek or Rick Ocasek? And Benjamin Orr. Or Benjamin Orr. Okay?
Yeah.
So, they have bated breath, and I've got to find the first song.
Yeah, I love this song.
Cassie. I had to think about it, though. They do sound very similar. And they both kind of, in a lot of songs, they both kind of have that fake British accent, too, that they sing with. So that makes it even more hard to figure it out. This is Orr.
Yeah, I would say this is not Rick Ocasek. With the sweet blue eyes, and every new boy that you meet, doesn't know
Wait.
surprise. Here she comes.
Now I'm doubting myself. Well, that's Rick Ocasek singing that.
Here she comes again. Who needs to think the stormy sky? Yeah,
I'm
that's
going back.
Rick
I think this is Ocasek. Not.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Rick.
Yeah. It's hard.
they're all going to be really okay. It was the
Yeah.
worst fucking quiz ever.
And then the beat comes in like
Yeah, right
like
here.
on the half.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely Benjamin.
It is.
There's so many cool videos of them playing live, like on TV shows, like rock concert or like midnight. What was that? Midnight
Special.
And like that TV show in Germany, I think it was called like Music Laden or something like that.
Rockablast. Yeah.
Rockablast, yeah. And from this era, from 78, 79. And they look so cool. You know, they just, I don't know, they just had a certain kind of like
Elvis
swagger when they played,
outfits, huh?
you know.
Yeah.
They all, you know, and they had, there was like a black, red, and white kind of theme that they had in their, I don't know if they continued on, but their first couple albums. And when they would appear on stage, and we watch those videos, they're all wearing either black, red, or white. You know, don't know why. That was like their colors, I guess. I don't know. David Robinson was an artist.
Yeah.
And he did some artwork on their albums and things, and like art direction and things. Yeah.
I think he coined the phrase "the Cars" too. I think he
Did
was
he?
credited with it. I don't
Okay.
know if he was. Okay, so that's just what I needed. So here's another one.
Turn it up.
Don't care.
Rick Ocasek.
That's Ocasek.
This is definitely mentioned more. I love this song. I love this is like to me is like one of their. I mean, I know I was saying this is like their greatest song, but this is in my definitely top 5. Bye Bye Love. Yeah. It's so awesome. And they play this on one of those shows too, and they just Benjamin Orr was like a, I don't mind saying, he was a sexy looking guy, right? And he just had a real cool stage presence, you know?
Yeah. That's a great song. Okay. We'll do a couple more. It's another great song.
Yeah.
Definitely on the syncopated.
Mm-hmm.
Little bit of Sting, kind of, you know, just the mixing of the rhythms.
Ocasek.
What?
Ocasek.
No, it's Orr. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. It's okay. Before people say, "Whoa!"
Our 28 viewers.
It's better than a sharp stick in an eye, that's for sure.
And my dad always used to say, "Swift kick in the shins."
What song was
I
that?
like
That
that.
was, what was that?
Touch and
We
go.
just played. Oh, Touch and Go, yeah. That's an underrated album, I think. Panorama. And
Well,
it's-
they took a left turn a little bit.
It did. And it's definitely not as good as their first 2 albums, but it's good though. I mean, it's some interesting stuff on there.
Really like this one.
This is Ocasek. No, wait. No, this is Orr. Yeah. It's hard to
It
tell.
is hard.
Yeah.
I did 10 more, but we're not going to do that. Be here all night.
This is
But that's-
this is quality entertainment though.
Well, it is, because there are some band members that sound alike. I think I was trying to remember who else we did.
Sonny and Cher.
Alice in Chains. Alice
yeah.
in Chains. Those
Mhm.
two, they had
The
a
blends
similar.
that they had.
Mhm.
It was hard to pick out whose parts were what. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Cars. I mean, they're a great band. I think they are underrated, as you said earlier. I don't think it would be in most people's top 10 or 20. You know?
Mhm.
I don't know, except for maybe the people who were in high school in the 80s. I mean, because they were so big then.
Yeah, maybe at the time
Thank you.
people would consider them more popular than
Right now,
now. You know, even though they have quite a legacy of great music that if you listen to the radio, you hear all those songs every day. But just overall, they don't fit into the pantheon of like
they were at the
Beatles,
forefront. I
Zeppelin,
mean,
Stones,
there are a lot
you
of
know,
people
all that stuff.
who kind of are similar, much more similar to them. There was nobody when they came on that sounded like them.
Right, no, for sure. Yeah, they're
And that's-
definitely unique.
And that's what's
For
so
their
good.
time.
We pretty much say that with so far of the bands that we've done our podcast, we've all said that they all find their lane, that nobody wants to sound like somebody else. They're always looking to be innovative in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I thought we had to say that because it's in our contract.
Well,
It's
we
part
do.
of it.
We
That's
do
part of
have a
it.
podcast contract that I wrote up.
It's pretty.
It's ironclad.
I know. No one has to look at it. Just give me your
Just sign
JPEG and I will throw it on the signature
Sign it.
line.
I've got a moving truck in front of my house 24/7.
So go to your nearest iTunes or Spotify and listen to the Cars because they're great and they're all great musicians. And I don't know if they're still doing
Or
stuff.
Mike's.
Yeah.
We forgot Mike's. That they can go to Mike's.
Oh yeah, Mike's got a great collection. You want to go to his? I'll give you his address.
That'd be awesome.
437.
Please do. That would be great. So my pick is next. So we're going to do our podcast tomorrow. So free up your calendar.
Bone up.
Bone Up on Aerosmith.
Yes,
And
that's all right.
I'm
all
going
right.
to pick. I've been thinking about Aerosmith for a few weeks now, trying to go back and forth on which album I'm going to pick, and I am going to pick "Rock in a Hard Place," which is not well. I'll get into that, but it's not one of their most well-known albums, but it's an amazing album. I think it's definitely underrated.
And they all will be revealed.
All will be revealed. I don't know if you guys have a spot pick on Aerosmith.
I don't yet. I have a favorite, but I don't want to do the favorite because they have a lot of albums to explore,
Yeah, I gotta look at it.
and I do need to look at it. So we're
Yeah.
looking forward
It's
to
going to be fun.
Aerosmith, and I hope you will join us for that podcast as well. So again, Classic Rock Reviews Unfiltered ! With Mike.
And the bucket of beer right here.
Yeah, this bucket of beer has had more personality tonight, by the way. I'll cut that. But thank you so much for joining, and until then, rock on.
Peace.